say, we practice self-love and say, you know, when you have self-love, you gain confidence because you know who you are and stuff. So he's saying that you don't necessarily need to be practicing self-love to realize that you look a certain way and be happy about it.
Right.
Exactly. And also, like, that does not, by saying you love yourself, it does not diminish the fact that you as a human being, you are a social being, you need to feel like you've been loved by people. You need that.
Yeah.
You can never ever have the satisfaction, the true satisfaction of love if all you have is love in yourself. You need the love of people.
Yeah.
You need the validation of people. At the early stage of our life, it's our parents. You see?
So are you saying that?
Yeah.
Your children.
Okay. Hi guys, welcome back to Honest Conversations, and so we're back again with a different theme, and today I have Fadi with me. For those of you who have watched our videos, you might have noticed that Fadi featured in the video where we talked about vulnerability. And he, the one with the glasses, so he gave us a male perspective of what vulnerability is and stuff, which was quite good. So if you haven't, check out the video. Today we are talking about self-love under the theme of relationships. So let's start off with what it looks like to me. So to start off, I'm a believer of self-love, but then there's a thin line in self-love and overdoing it to the point where you think it's all about you, then it becomes selfishness. So what is self-love? That's the question that you might be asking yourself. For me, self-love is self-care. They're pretty much the same thing. Self-love is me understanding that, me knowing who I am, and that helps me in the way I place myself in society and how I engage with people and with families, my relationship with God and all that. So for me, it starts with self, and Fadi is going to give us his perspective. I would like to say male perspective, but that won't be accurate because there will be a sample of men that relate with him and those that don't. So that sample that does, yes, I guess you will relate. And those that don't, let's hope that you learn something from it. All right? So thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you.
I guess I'm just going to get into it. What is self-love? And how does that look to you?
Well, you know, I'll be honesty. I don't really subscribe to the concept of self-love.
Yeah.
Because I feel like self-love it's a value on its own that does not really need any qualification. So for me as a human being, it's not a matter of choice. You don't choose to love yourself.
Yeah.
It's a matter. It's something that comes to you natural. So at the point where you find, at your lowest point, where you find yourself like you've lost all dignity, you've lost all purpose, you've lost all drive, you've lost everything that actually helps a human being to stay alive and to feel alive. Then at that point, you have pretty much like you cannot say that you don't love yourself at that point. But what has happened is that after losing all of that, you've stopped being a human being basically.
Yeah.
So that's actually the very thin line between how people are able to commit suicide when they get to that point. However, I mean, this concept of self-love is a very new concept. It's a very modern concept to the human experiment, to be honest. Because I feel like as a human being, if you get up every day in the morning with a very strong sense of purpose, you get up every day in the morning and know that like you are a dignified individual by virtue of your humanity, you're already dignified. You don't need any sort of like external stimulation to feel that you're dignified. You're already dignified. And you feel like has by virtue of you being a human being, you already have the need to feel free and to be able to make your choices in this life and to be able to go like to walk into this world and present yourself whether physically, psychologically, every sort of dimension that you want, the best possible way you see fit. If you have achieved that, then you might not say that like you have like you love yourself, but what you are essentially doing is that you are allowing what it is to be a human being to actually guide you in getting to whatever you want to get, rather than just sit down and say, oh yeah, I love myself, but like I love myself, so I don't really care what anyone thinks about me, whether whether my friends, society, or whatever thinks about me, as long as I love myself. And you made mention about how it's easy to move from that to being selfish, but the moment you get to a point where you feel like you can get the satisfaction that love has to provide to a human being, then it's very hard for you. If you dwell in that so much, it's going to be very, very difficult for you to actually understand that no. You need to be loved, and you need to love, because as human beings, this is actually how we function. So when you get to that point, you can easily become very selfish without actually knowing. So that's why I think that like by putting it in the concept like this, like self-love, it's just making you feel comfortable in your situation, and even it's okay.
Which is not bad,
Well, it's not bad to feel comfortable in your situation, but the adverse effects of that is that you stop trying to allow the best representation of your human nature take lead. When you feel rejected, it's fine. Move on. Find somebody who accepts you. When you feel like you're in a place where it makes you feel like it's degrading you as a human being, no worries. Remove yourself from that situation and find a different situation where you can feel dignified. You can have a sense of freedom. I mean, for example, look at us here. A lot of people leave their countries and run away to other countries, not because that they don't have enough love or enough security or whatever where they come from, but there are countries in this world where the level of human dignity aspired to a human being is higher than other places. So people want to be there. So that's why a lot of people move into countries like this. Even some people just move into Western countries simply because they want to be able to speak up their mind without having to worry about getting locked up or getting beat up. That is the freedom of expressing your human nature. So for me, even though I do not subscribe to the concept of self-love, but I do believe that like these things that I mentioned in terms of like self-dignity, the freedom of human beings, feeling secure and everything, all of it comes into play to make a human being feel alive and to feel that you have a better place in this life without you having to even think about it that I love myself, but it's actually something that comes to you naturally and is part of you as a human being.
Okay, so my understanding of what you've said right now is that self-love is a thing, but it's unconscious. So people who consciously engage in it make it, everything that you've basically described. And you said that it's external. So my question is, you did say something about self-love going against human nature. Yeah? I just want you to expand a bit on that. So what is the correlation between self-love and how does it go against human nature or the way we just make?
Exactly. So for example, whether we like it or not as human beings, we need validation. The question is, where do we get it? Is it in school where you get a certificate of being the first person in class? Is it at home where your parents pat you on the back and be like, oh, you are a good boy, or you are a good girl? Is it that? Or is it within your friends where your friends will be like, ish, you, I wish I admire you, I admire your hard work, I admire your drive. Is it that? We need validation from people. Put that aside. Love as human nature, you must, if you are to be happy, you must submit to the love of other people. Could be your mother, could be your friends, it could be your workplace, wherever you are, you would want to feel that these people love you. Because with that love coming through, then you can be able to build up a trust. That's where you can trust that your parents always have your back. Why? Because you know they love you.
Absolutely.
That's why you can trust that your friends have your back. Why? Because they love you. That's why you know that, like, okay, in a workplace, if I'm finding any difficulty in anything, I can go to a friend and speak to. Why? Because they love you. So we need to be loved by others. We cannot achieve the true satisfaction of what it is of the essence of love itself
Yeah.
without getting it and giving it back.
Right.
However, in the 21st century, people are individualized
Absolutely.
in the sense that we have it's a serious dilemma. Now, how do we move into a world where we don't feel where we don't feel accepted, we don't feel the love that we think we deserve? How do you do that?
Yeah.
We get up in the morning and we're like, ish, man, like I'm going to see my friends, but everybody's gonna show up like dressed very well.
Yeah.
Maybe I need to dress very well, otherwise I'll be the odd one out. You get up in the morning, you're like, ish, I'm going to work.
Yeah.
But when I get to work, everybody's drinking coffee. So even though I don't like coffee, but I need to drink coffee because I want to be able to to get their love and be able to feel like to be part of it. You see? So all these things have brought a situation where we are put in an unnatural situation
Right.
to feel that we can actually gain every satisfaction that the essence of love has to provide by loving ourselves.
Yeah.
It's impossible because the essence of love to itself is a will to it's a will to life.
Yeah.
Without love, humanity will not exist.
Right.
And that is not the love of us. It's the love of each other,
Yeah.
and it's the love that we it is that same love that we use
Yeah.
to continue like this human experiment.
Yeah.
So when you are put in a position where you have to dig deep
Yeah.
to think that you love yourself before you can actually feel comfortable in living in this world that we have, then actually you are being put in an unnatural solution.
Right.
And that is why you see people have now we have something called withdrawal syndrome or whatever. People just withdraw themselves from society and they go shopping every day.
Yeah.
And they come into their room. Well, I'm happy. No.
And that's not
that is
self-love.
that is a projection of happiness.
Yeah.
It is not. But it is as an individual, like you said, you can look at it and be like, oh no, that's not how I do my self-love.
Yeah.
But what you are doing has actually absolutely nothing to do with the concept of it at all.
Right.
Because you have purpose,
Yeah.
whether in God or in friends.
Yeah.
Because you come from a place where you know you are loved,
Yeah.
whether by your parents or by your friends.
Yeah.
You have your dignity,
Yeah.
and you, to a certain degree, you know you are free to pursue everything. So that is actually what is natural. But when you are put in a situation, the people that are put in a situation where they have to basically get into their room, maybe due to rejection. This is very common. Maybe somebody rejects you, a relationship breaks up, you get into your room, you cry, you're like, you know what? I don't need this love, or I don't need her love. I love myself. No, you don't.
Yeah.
That's an unnatural way to look at it. So that is where they pretty much part ways.
Yeah. Okay. I love that. I love that you obviously explained it differently from how I guess the general population might understand it, and obviously as per my introduction you could see that we all understand it differently, which brings me to the point of self-love is subjective and we all understand it differently. So I can't sit here and say, oh no, that's not how you do self-love, because it's not right. You understand it differently, someone else understands it differently. So that brings me to the second question. When we come across self-love, oftentimes it's, related to females, hence why we have you here, because just like vulnerability, it's one of those topics when, on the instant, when you hear about it, people think, oh, females, emotions, and all that. So it brings me back to the question, why is it that this concept of self-love is more related or pushed onto females than males? Is it because males don't have an understanding of it, or is it because it doesn't exist in the mindset of males, or rather, like people normally put it, females are more that deal with emotions more than anyone else? The reality is we're all human and we all have emotions, and our emotions are pretty much the same. Negative emotions or positive emotions, it's all the same. It doesn't really classify whether you're male or female. So why is it that self-love, and not to bring in vulnerability, but to just give you that, why is it more related to females than males?
Thank you for your question, but that is pretty much, that is easy to that is very easy to establish. Go on social media, for instance, whatever social media you use. Look at how many times do males get body shamed compared to women. That's the first point you start.
Right.
open a magazine, for instance. I mean, for if you look at like when it comes to let's say for instance, healthy body.
Yeah.
Think about healthy body. A man,
Healthy body.
for instance, like a healthy body.
Okay.
What is classified as a healthy body in our society?
Right. Yeah.
A man, a man, they project those, whether he's into fitness or whatever he's doing. It's about health-wise, being like the kind of like a manly or some sort of like a satisfaction of ego. But when it comes to women, sexiness. The magazine says it. You don't have to go far.
Right.
So that's number one.
Yeah.
That is when you move into the world, right? So now let's start from when you start your day as a man. I believe, and I think this is probably the majority of men will get up in the morning and say that, like look at my body, I need to lose this pound.
Yeah.
Because society has defined men as people that are providers, protectors, or whatever.
Yeah.
As long as they have a good job,
Yeah.
as
body
long as they
doesn't
work
matter.
hard,
Yeah.
that doesn't matter. But then you could see a female scientist. She's giving it. I mean, you go on YouTube, a female scientist, very brilliant human being. She's giving a lecture, and guys are very busy talking. Oh, she's very sexy. They cannot see past the fact that this dimension of this human being is different from what she'll project. If she want to look sexy, they can't. Let's say, for instance, look at sports. You go into sport, nobody will ever screenshot Usain Bolt's butt or his something. You know what I mean? But if you look at it, after every Olympics, those pictures start coming up. Oh, hottest female athlete. So this pressure has made it that some women who get up in the morning and knowing that, and actually somehow, like sadly, unfortunately, believing that they do not meet the perfection, whether in terms of physical representation of themselves, that society mean, then now they have to dig deep. And to them, the concept of self-love, if it gives them happiness, and if it gives them confidence to be able to walk with their head standing straight, so be it. But it's a wrong concept.
Yeah.
Because what they should have done is that they should have understood that being a woman, you are much more. Actually, what you can present in your what you can present in like in your sexuality or sexiness is the least among the powers that you have as a woman.
Yeah.
Because number one, you have to nurture a society. The whole society depends on you.
Absolutely.
You have to ensure the continuity of the human species.
Yep.
You have to balance very, very complex tasks in the sense that you have to build a home
Yep.
where you provide, you pretty much sustain the home, and also you have to build a career.
Yeah.
So the sexiness part that is actually making women to the point where they have to fold themselves in and to try to find love within themselves is actually one of the most trivial aspects of what being a woman is.
Wow.
So that is why you can see that the society has been designed in such a way that it's very hard to escape from it. And even women who have tried to escape from it, some people think they are crazy. Because for instance, right now, right? I mean, you think about it. Like if you are a young girl, maybe growing up, and maybe you are fortunate to meet what the society deems as being perfect body.
Yeah.
Everybody encourages you. Oh, why don't you have an Instagram
Yeah.
like page? Why don't you get followers and get paid for it? But is that what is important?
Yeah.
But no offense, if that is what is important to you, so be it. Go
Yeah.
ahead. But understand that there will be consequences coming out of it. So if
Absolutely.
somebody goes on your page and body shames you, if you happen to put on like a few pounds and you are suicidal, it's a choice you made. You could have made a better choice than that, but
Yeah.
that's what you chose. And every choice within them has consequences, and the consequences you can determine what the choices are,
Yeah.
but you have no any way to determine what their consequences would be. So that is why I think it's much more heavier on women, this self-love thing. And for some women, it's helping them.
Yeah.
But I can only wish that they can actually fold themselves back into their very nature
Yeah.
and submit themselves to what it is to be a woman, and they will never have to think about that anymore.
Yeah. I love that. I really love it.
Talk about what we were talking last night. The identity part.
What is it? I can't remember.
It's okay. The part where if this is probably shaming, but it's okay. Yeah, I think you've specify.
Like I remember what you were talking about in terms of like you has some sort of like if you are a woman and you pretty much like find yourself in a situation where you think you will have to change, maybe you have to bleach or whatever to make you be able to maybe love yourself the way it is, then you must understand that you are doing something wrong and you have a very like a problem of low self-esteem. It's nothing to do with self-love or self-hate. You have a low self-esteem. And that, it doesn't matter who has done it. It could be Beyonce. She has low self-esteem.
Absolutely.
It could be anyone. Doesn't matter. Because the substance of human nature is much more bigger. And that is why, like in like ancient societies, sex is private. You know why they put it private? That's where it belongs. When you come out of the world, you express something much more bigger.
Is that a good thing though?
It is a good thing.
Because
in the sense that, like, to this world, it's a good thing in the sense that if you make sex private, right? We know. I mean, sex is the nourishment of the body. It doesn't go past any that's just where it stops. Then there is no need for anyone to get up, like maybe to go to work, and then you have to like, I have to dress a certain way, I have to do this. It eliminates that need. So when you come home, so when you go outside your house, people see you as the true essence of what it is to be a human being, compared to what it is to be a sexy human being. And that's what we have now. We can try to deny it, but that's exactly what we're doing. If you work in corporations, whatever you work in, they give you a dress code, except a nurse. Even some of the nurses even try to make it a bit tighter, so they can look cute.
Cute.
You know what I mean? So it's like it's a very, 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 very much more like a deep problem that we have. But the concept of self-love, the way people is being taught to us, it's like putting a plaster over a bullet wound. Because we've essentially broken down every single thing that is required in terms of community base. Everything. We've broken it down. So now we're just making like some sort of window dressing to try to get people to still, at least still be able to get up in the morning, do whatever we have to do. Because the other things that I was telling you in terms of what you need to do as a human, like what is actually normal to human nature is a difficult task. Because the moment you begin that journey, it's something different. But to just accept that you love yourself and that's it's easy part of it. So people usually take the easy way out, but they don't have the solutions.
Right.
So
I guess it goes back to how you practice your self-love. Like I said before, self-love is self-care, but don't use it to advantage when it's convenient for you, that it excludes everyone around you, everyone that you love, or everyone that's you've probably encountered, So it is a concept. I guess, like you mentioned, some females draw back to it because that's all they have to start with. It's almost like a journey of building a house. Not that this happens, but if something knocks it down, Jenga actually, something knocks it down, you start all over again. You build the bricks up to start again. So you mentioned something about esteem.
Self-esteem.
Does self-love have anything to do with confidence, self-esteem?
Well, my understanding is from what I've been talking about before. So if you allow the true representation of what it is to be a human being, the dignity, the freedom, the security, if all of it comes into play, self-esteem comes naturally. What is it natural? It's natural because you know that this is how, to the believers of God, this is how God created me to be. To those who don't believe in God, this is how nature or whatever genetic mutation happened between my dad and my mom intended me to be. Why should I have to justify that to anyone?
Right?
Don't.
That's good.
Because I am beginning to fight a fight I don't even know how it started. However, if you see yourself in a point where you feel like, oh my God, like like my legs are a bit skinny. I need to put some sort of like stuff in it to make them bigger.
Yeah.
Then what you are doing is you have an image of someone in your head that has nothing to do with your very existence,
Right.
and you've lost it.
Yeah.
But trust me, understand this: a lot of human beings would not get into the thinking process
Yeah.
and the soul searching process that requires them to identify this as being having low self-esteem. But that's fine.
Yeah.
Because as human beings, we just want to have an easy life, just relax, eat food, go out and party.
Yeah.
That's fine. But we don't want to bring our very existence into picture. So how many of us? It's very hard for us to look in the mirror and be like, oh, geez, I'm a bastard. You can't do that. But you can look in the mirror and be like, you know what? I think maybe I've done some things wrong, but it's not my fault. I've tried. You see? So if you go through the process of in terms of like the true meaning of the human representation in this world and human nature, you will never have a problem with self-esteem, because you would have gotten to a point where you know that, like they said, no two human beings are the same.
Yeah.
Even you and your dad are different.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things different about you.
Yeah.
And you understand you didn't choose every single thing, whether biological, whether physical, whether psychological. You didn't choose it.
Yeah.
So either God gave it to you, or genetics happen. So why should you have to question that?
Yeah.
But if you have to question that in a physical realm, what are you doing that in the psychological and mental realm? That you don't want to bother about it. Why? Because that's too hard. That's too hard.
Yeah.
But what you don't know is that whatever we do physically has a psychological representation.
Absolutely.
If only you can find it, you're fine. If you fix it there, you will walk into this world. Like I'll share a story like about my granddad said that like you're gonna go into this world. You're gonna go into this world and be a man.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid, because men don't have horns. If they do, you will have one. That's fine. Just get into this world and do your best.
Yeah.
You're not gonna succeed in everything, but that's what it's meant to be.
Yeah.
But whatever you succeed on, take it and hold it very close to your heart. It will be beneficial to you.
Right.
But it's hard, because people think that like, why does this guy have a horn? I need a horn. But if he's a man or she's a woman and she has a horn, you also have a horn.
Yeah.
Because that is what nature dictates it to be.
Absolutely.
But if you see her with a horn and then she's the only one having a horn, then don't want to be like that. It's unnatural.
Yeah.
Stay on your natural lane,
Yeah.
and you will achieve things that you wouldn't have to bother with self-esteem, because they will all of this will come natural to you. Like you will wake up in the morning, you brush your teeth. When you're going to work, you dress very nicely. The way you see fit, you go to work, you do your work, you come home. But if you get into a situation where you've lost all that it is to be a human being, whether through societal pressure, whether through social conformity, or whether through your own doing, then you have to fall into something much more superficial,
Right.
which is what I think of self-love.
Right.
Then that you'll be satisfied. But it's temporary.
Yeah.
It's temporary. It's not. If you hold on, it's temporary. It's not a permanent fix. At some point, you will feel like, oh my God,
Yeah.
maybe I need to call up this guy. I need to call up this person. Maybe I need to go out. But that's fine. Human beings are survivors.
Yeah.
That's the reason why we are here.
Absolutely.
A lot of human beings, a lot of human species existed. They've all been extinguished. We are here because we are survivors. So anything that we can grasp onto to survive, no one should question that.
Yeah.
But whether we like it or not, because we are human beings, and our genetic makeup, which is what God gave us, has determined that we don't have wings, then we have limitations. And there are things that are called truism to our existence. You can't run away from it. You can argue about it as you want, but until you return there, you will just live, and you will exist but not live.
Right.
But you might think you're living, but that's also another story. That's fine. You can keep to that. If that makes you happy, you have to survive. We can't question it.
Wow, that was really good. So very insightful. I learned a lot, and I hope you guys did as well. And if you sort of like looking for some sort of like understanding, go back to our self-awareness and acceptance video, and try and get some information that will lead you to this what we're talking about today, because at the end of the day it goes back to self-awareness and acceptance. So thank you guys. If you have any questions, do let us know in the comments.